What's up everyone, I'm Calamontos, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Ultra League, which by the way, I actually didn't do a single battle in the Ultra League last season, which I only noticed when making my best battles of the season compilation. So if you were waiting a while to see my own battles in the Ultra League, I can tell you now that it was well worth the wait, because these battles are absolutely insane. I'm running the Force of Nature trio, each with their signature moves, which if you didn't know, are actually clones of Icy Wind. I'm saying that because some of you will probably remember I shoutcasted some battles last season featuring two of this trio, and throughout the entire video I was just like, wow, we get another debuff, that's absolutely insane luck. But obviously it was a guaranteed debuff the entire time and I looked like a complete idiot. But with that guaranteed debuff, that makes these Pokemon very appealing to me, as they're all very glassy, so play similarly to Rayquaza before the Breaking Swipe nerf. So fingers crossed Niantic doesn't give these moves to Steelix next season, because this team was incredibly fun to run and hopefully just as fun for you guys to watch. So with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. Which legendary trio do you feel doesn't get the love it deserves in Pokemon Go? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, and I will mention that, of course, I have had a few shorter videos recently, so this video is going to be a lot longer than that. So if you guys have been missing my battles in the Open Ultra League, you guys are in for a real treat here. Now, we swap into Thundurus. I was assuming the opponent was probably just going to go straight for a Grass Knot there, but they swap into Registeel, so I'm going to go straight for the Focus Blast. How much damage does this do? It one-shots a Registeel from near full health. That's insane damage, and at this point, I'm definitely going to shield, because, of course, now I can go for a Wild Bolt Storm. I can guarantee a debuff to their attack, so might as well shield the first charge move coming from that Cresselia. Now this time it's not going to threaten nearly as much, so I'll let it go through. Moonblast still does a lot of damage. By the way, Thundurus is the glasses of this trio, so really can't tank a hit without that Wild Bolt Storm. We go for another Wild Bolt Storm, and we actually grab a shield this time around, so absolutely fine with me. Grass Knot will be taking me out even though it's resisted and double debuffed. We're now going to come in with the Landorus, go for a Sandsear Storm, and Sandsear Storm from this range obviously going to take out the Cresselia. They've got a Tapu Fini in the back. I'm just going to go for the debuff straight away, because of course this is their final Pokemon. They will not be able to clear the debuff. We debuff their attack. We can come in with the Tornadus, and at this point we can actually just let this move go through. Tornadus is the bulkiest of this trio, although still not super bulky, but they were debuffed in their attack. We can now go for a Bleak Wind Storm. The opponent realizes there's nothing they can do anymore, so they just let that move go through, and we're able to take out the Tapu Fini and take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game we see Zygarde complete form in the Open Ultra League, and let me tell you, this team and this game was absolutely ridiculous. So we go for the Sandsear Storm. I'm figuring that I'm actually going to shield the first charge move because it makes sense. I can get off probably two more debuffs before they make it to the next crunch. So I'm going to go for a second Sandsear Storm. You can see it really doesn't do that much damage up against Zygarde. Zygarde is so damn bulky, but we get to a third one, and this one's actually going to threaten to grab a shield from the opponent. And at this point, they are 3 stages debuff. Crunch not going to do that much damage, but they will get the Dragon Tail farm down. Now, of course, I couldn't swap out of that matchup because we've got a Thundurus which gets absolutely destroyed by this thing, triple resisting electric, but now they are so debuffed, we get a full Gust farm down. They're going to come in with Registeel. We've already seen Focus Blast from a Thundurus actually one-shots them, but unfortunately we're not quite as attack weighted. It still does huge damage. We swap into our Thundurus. And at this point, I'm probably just going to shield anyway. Zapcannon is going to debuff my attack. You don't actually see it yet. Okay, we do see it now. And they've got Galarian Stunfisk in the back. So this is looking very bad for me. Complete wall to me unless we can land another Focus Blast. So we are going to full send it once again. No point in baiting. And the opponent lets that go through. We were debuffed in our attack, but it still does huge damage. And then they overfarm, allowing me to make it to a Wild Bolt Storm, debuffing their attack. And that should allow my Tornadus to live a Rock Slide in the back. So this is still going to be very close. They make it to the Rock Slide coming through. Will not take us out. They swap back into Registeel, and at this point I didn't want them to lock on farm me down, so I'm just going to throw the Bleak Wind Storm straight away, hoping the energy dry on the Galarian Stunfisk, and we get the Gust farm down, and somehow I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Landorus into a Gliscor. So not a great matchup. Battle of the ground and flying type Pokemon. Gonna let this move go through. You're gonna see that when I go for a Stone Edge here, it's gonna do about 50% of their health, but they've already got me into that yellow health range just from way attacks and a Night Slash. So pretty embarrassing there. I'm actually going to shield this up. I don't think I would make it to another Stone Edge if they go for the Night Slash there, but now I will be able to get this move off, and they're probably just going to shield this up, but I do want to at least grab a shield from the opponent. Now I swap into my Thunderous. Of course, Earthquake is only single resisted here, and they full send the Earthquake. That still does huge damage. They swap into Ampharos, and we're going once again for the Focus Blast. Can we connect? Yes, we can, and we one-shot Ampharos. That doesn't even take super effective damage from the Focus Blast. That is absolutely insane. Now at this point, I'm going to come in with my Landorus. I'm basically just going to force the opponent to throw their energy, and they are going to do exactly that. So Night Slash coming through. They don't get a boost, which is good for me. We can come in, get the full Gust farm down. They make it to another Night Slash. I don't really have to shield this up. Night Slash is not going to get me that low, and they've got a Poliwrath in the back, so with an energy advantage we can easily go for these Bleak Wind Storms. First one is going to debuff their attack. At this point I just have to safely shield this up, and the Gust should KO after the charge move, even with a debuff to my attack, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Internet, you see a Lantern in the lead, so good lead matchup for us. They're going to safe swap into Cresselia, so I'm just going to go straight for that Sandsear Storm. No point swapping out and then allowing the opponent to make it to a charge move before I can actually make it to my own charge move. And now I'm going to swap into my Tornadus since it has the worst matchup up against the Lantern. They go for a Moonblast there. We do tank that fairly well. We can make it to a Bleak Wind Storm, and this is going to double debuff their attack now, to the point where this next Moonblast is not going to threaten a shield either. I'm hoping I can Gust farm them all the way down, but actually they do significantly outpace me to the charge moves, so at this point I'm just going to go for that Bleak Wind Storm straight away, and it is actually a CMB tie, which we win. We take out the Cresselia, they come back in with the Lantern, which makes a lot of sense. They get the full Spark farm down, and we're going to come in with our Landorus. Now we've got slightly residual energy, but not enough to outpace the opponent to a charge move, so of course I will be shielding the Surf. Surf would hit for super effective damage. I'm going to overfarm here, trying to make sure the opponent doesn't make a catch there, and they don't try and catch. We go for Sandsear Storm, debuffing their attack, but they've got a Shadow Walrein in the back, and I just panicked. Honestly, this team does very, very poorly up against Ice types. Of course, Thunderous can at least hit for super effective damage with these Volt Switches and Wild Bolt Storms. But unfortunately, behind on energy and down a shield, there's just nothing we can do here. So this will be enough to KO even with a debuff. And then, of course, I can go for a Stone Edge here. I'm going to go for it anyways, hoping that the opponent, for whatever reason, no shields. But it doesn't matter. The Lantern can come in, go for a Surf, and take me out anyways. But the opponent just shields that up, goes for the Powder Snow farm down, and we get absolutely destroyed in that battle. But GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, we see Alolan Muck in the lead. The opponent's going to safe swap into Giratina. And when I was checking out this team on PvPoke, apparently Giratina beats all 3 Pokemon, but they're not like super dominant wins apart from the Thunderous, because of course it does completely wall our energy. So I'm actually just going to stay in here because they have to swap out. They are actually 1 turn behind, so we can actually make it to back-to-back Sandsear Storms before the opponent can get to back-to-back Dragon Claws. So that's huge for me. We're now going to swap into my Tornadus. I should be able to go for a full Gust farm down here. So the switch clock is quite significantly misaligned though, so actually the opponent might be able to swap back into their Muck here, and they are going to do exactly that. I'm going to farm to the Focus Blast, but then I figured it's probably a bit too obvious that I'm going for the nuke, so we go for the Bleak Wind Storm. We grab a shield there. They're going to go for the full Poison Jab farm down, allow me to make it to a second Bleak Wind Storm, and we get 2 debuffs to their attack, and we do get them into the yellow health range, very close to the red health range already. They're going to go for a Dark Pulse, but double debuffed. It doesn't KO. We are resisting the Poison Jab damage there, and we make it to a Sandsear Storm. Sandsear Storm takes out the Muck. The opponent's going to come back in with the Giratina, take out my Landorus, but this is fine with me. We're then going to come in with our Tornadus, go for the Gust farm down. Actually, sorry, the Thunderous here, go for the Volt Switch farm down, and now we can go for Wild Bolt Storm into this Poliwrath, grab the final shield from the opponent. And now all we have to do here is shield up the Icy Wind. We will be able to outpace them to the next charge move, and Wild Bolt Storm, even with a debuff to their attack, is still going to be enough damage to take out the Poliwrath. And I can Volt Switch, farm down the Giratina, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next battle, we're going to see Landorus into a Pidgeot. So of course we've got Stone Edge for coverage. It's quite likely that they're just going to go and shield the Stone Edge anyways, but the opponent's actually going to swap into a Feraligatr. So we're going to go for the Sandsear Storm, debuff their attack, but even then, Thunderous is so glassy, like I've mentioned, that Hydro Cannon would still nearly KO us, so I'm actually going to shield that up. And of course, an Ice Beam would definitely take us out there, so I definitely just shield up the first charge move. We go for the Wild Bolt Storm, grab a shield, and at this point I'm thinking, actually, you know what? We've seen 2 Pokemon already weak to the electric typing. I'm just going to safely shield that up, and it was an Ice Beam, so even with a 2-stage debuff, that probably does KO, but they come in with a Cobalion. Now, Landorus does have the tools to beat both Cobalion and the Pidgeot in the back, but it's going to be quite difficult as we are behind with a shield there. They go for the Stone Edge, that still takes us out even with the debuff to their attack, and the opponent's going to try and swap and catch a Stone Edge. They're not, oh sorry, a Sandsear Storm, but they're not able to do so. Stone Edge is going to be no shielded by the opponent. We swap, we catch what could be a Brave Bird. Honestly, I was hoping this would KO, but it doesn't, and then we KO with the gust damage there. The opponent is forced to throw their energy though, which is good news for me. Sacred Sword will be taking us out from that range, but can I make it to back-to-back Sandsear Storms before the opponent makes it to another Stone Edge? Of course, we only take neutral damage from the rock typing here, but does a Stone Edge KO our Landorus? Unfortunately, yes it does, and we do end up losing that game, but GG's to that opponent there, very well played. I definitely should have been able to win that game, but they just outplayed me there. So into the next battle, we're going to see an Ampharos in the lead. We're going to go for a Sandsear Storm straight away before they make it to a potential Brutal Swing or a Trailblaze or a Thunder Punch or whatever it is they're running, and we can now just let this move go through. Brutal Swing, not going to do too much damage there. We throw on the potential CMP tie there, but the opponent's going to swap, make a very nice catch into their Ludicolo, which is quite cool to see. We're now going to swap into our Tornadus. They will just barely make it to a charge move before we get a full Gust farm down. The opponent actually goes for Ice Beam there, but I can go for a full Gust farm down, and because we debuff their attack, we do actually live that Ice Beam. The opponent's now going to come in with a Berserker. I'm able to rack just about enough in time to make it to a Focus Blast and one-shot the Berserker from full health. They come back in with the Ampharos. The safe play is just to come in with my Thunderous. I can still let whatever they throw go through here. Then I will be able to go for a Wild Bolt Storm, and the opponent's basically going to be forced to shield this up because otherwise I will be able to Mudshot farm them all the way down. So they use their final shield. We come in with our Landorus. We've got both shields remaining, so even if they make it to back-to-back charge moves, it does not matter. But we make it to the Sandsear Storm on the CMP tie, and this will be taking out the Ampharos, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next battle, we're going to see Landorus into a Giratina. Now, with no energy advantage, this is not a great matchup for me because they will make it to back-to-back Dragon Claws before I do make it to back-to-back Sandsear Storms, which isn't ideal. We're going to throw the first one here, and like I've said before, I should be shielding the first charge move, but since I know that they will make it to back-to-back Dragon Claws here, before I get off a second Sandsear Storm, it doesn't really matter which one I shield. So I'm going to shield the second one there. I'm now going to overfarm, go for another Sandsear Storm, and with a third debuff to their attack, or sorry, with the second debuff to their attack, I should be able to live the move, but instead I'm going to swap into my Thunderous. This is not a good matchup for me, but they are double debuff, forcing them to swap out, but they've got a really good answer to my entire team in the form of a Abomasnow, and this is looking like it's game over. I needed to grab a shield there, but the opponent either knows the moveset or just was pretty confident they could live whatever I threw anyways, so they tanked that very easily. And this is just not looking good. We're going to come in with the Tornadus. They are debuffed in their attack by one stage. I'm hoping I can at least make a swap and catch the next charge move onto my Landorus, and I'm able to do exactly that. But is there any play for me right now? They go for Weather Ball. They probably could have undercharged that fully. It still would have taken us out. We're now going to throw the charge move here just before the Giratina throws a charge move of their own. I'm actually grab a shield there. Unfortunately, Giratina has a lot of HP, so even though it looked like they were on 1 HP, it doesn't KO them, and they actually are able to make it to another charge move on their Abomasnow. So unfortunately, Weather Ball will be taking out Tornadus, and once again, Ice types very difficult for this team to deal with. But I didn't see too many of them. I think I saw maybe one every couple of sets, maybe slightly more than that, but still, we do actually have play against most Ice types though. It just depends if we get them aligned to the right Pokemon, which obviously is very difficult to do so. But into the next battle, we're going to see a Melmetal in the lead. So we go for that Sandsear Storm. That allows me to live a Rock Slide fairly comfortably. I'm now going to go for a second one just straight away, debuff their attack, because obviously Confusion isn't resisted by my Thunderous. So whilst we are dealing super effective damage with these Volt Switches, Confusion is going to chunk, and they go for a Psychic there. I shield in case it was an Ice Beam, but we're able to get a full Volt Switch farm down, which is absolutely huge. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent's going to come in with a Swampert. I'm going to go for a Wild Bolt Storm bait. This is quite risky, and the opponent actually lets that go through, but I will still make it to a Focus Blast and win the CMP tie up against the Swampert. The opponent going to no-shield their Swampert. We fully one-shot them. Well, not fully, because of course I did already throw a Wild Bolt Storm, but we take them out there from about 70% of their health, and now we come in with our Landorus. We can go for that Sandsear Storm straight away, grabbing the final shield from the opponent. We've still got a Tornadus in the back, but we're not going to need it, as I can easily outpace this Melmetal to the next Sandsear Storm, and from this range this will be enough damage to very easily take out the Melmetal, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Pidgeot in the lead once again. So this time they're actually going to stay in. We're just going to full send that Stone Edge. Sand Storm is a very risky bait. And I don't really like to bait when it's a case of either dealing super effective damage or double resisted damage. And here, it turns out that not baiting was the right play. But likewise, the opponent also doesn't bait. They fully one-shot me with a Brave Bird. And now we're going to come in with our Thunderous. And this is a mistake. I don't know what I'm doing here. Why didn't I throw the Wild Bolt Storm? And also, why didn't I shield the first charge move if I didn't get off that Wild Bolt Storm? It makes no sense to me whatsoever, and I don't really know what I'm doing here, but at this point I kind of need to shield this up, so definitely should have just shielded up that first one. That way I would have taken less damage from the next Brutal Swing, but either way we're now going to go for a Wild Bolt Storm. Wild Bolt Storm is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and they overfarm, allowing me to make it to another Wild Bolt Storm here, and this doesn't quite take them out though, which is really unfortunate. They're also going to fire off a charge move. I think they've got back-to-back moves here, so this is going to be very close, but they come in with a Talonflame. I'm actually going to go for the extra gust, realizing that we were aligned there, and that is going to come in clutch here, as now I can go for a Bleak Wind Storm. I don't think this will quite take them out there, which is actually even better for me as I get the gust farm down, but the opponent will make it to one final Brutal Swing. Does this KO? No, it doesn't KO. I'm able to take them out with the gust, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next going to see Landorus into a Sizzle. So this is a pretty good matchup for, well, not great actually, and they're going to swap into Walrein. Now this is suddenly looking really bad for me. We're going to go for that Stone Edge. Stone Edge grabs the shield there. Possibly could have baited there, as it's a little bit less risky than going for a double resisted Sand Storm up against a Pidgeot. But we swap into our Thunderous. I'm hoping this KOs. I'm hoping they just let this move go through here. But it doesn't quite take them out. They live with 1 HP and a Dream. That is so unfortunate. So now I'm going to double shield straight away. I can get that Volt Switch farm down. They come in with the Sizzle. They will just barely make it to a Night Sash. I'm hoping I can just barely live this. And we do live it. We can go for the Wild Bolt Storm. This should be grabbing a shield here, as the opponent is... Actually, no, they're actually just going to let that go through, which is fine with me. We are going to come in with the Landorus, and the opponent's got a Trevenant in the back, and this is one of the, well, actually possibly the only pure flying type Pokemon in the game right now. Typically they are going to be part normal, which would absolutely wall this Trevenant, but unfortunately Shadow Ball does huge damage there. We go for the Bleak Wind Storm, but it's just not going to matter. They're able to make it to a Seed Bomb before I make it to a Sandsear Storm, and even then it is resisted damage, the Sandsear Storm is, so that wouldn't take them out anyway. So the opponent's able to take me out with the Trevenant there, but GG's to that opponent. Into the next game, we're going to see a Giratina running Dragon Breath this time around, so just going to go straight for that Sandsear Storm. Sandsear Storm, of course, going to debuff their attack straight away, and this time I will be able to outpace them to the second charge move, so I will be shielding the first Dragon Claw from this Giratina. I'm then going to overfarm here, bait like I'm going for a Stone Edge. I tried to make a catch there, but I don't know why it didn't go through. We actually get an extra Mud Shot in instead, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, I am just going to stay in, go for the Sandsear Storm, and I will make it to another Sandsear Storm, which might even grab a shield from the opponent here. It actually does grab a shield from the opponent, so that's fine with me. They are now triple debuffed in their attack. These Dragon Breaths are doing no damage whatsoever, and also this Dragon Claw really not going to hit that hard either. We can go for a full Gust farm down, actually before they make it to another charge move, which is huge, and then they come in with Swampert, which is even better for me because, of course, Thunderous doesn't really want to take on the Swampert. Of course, we have seen Focus Blast completely destroy a Swampert, but that was circumstantial there. We are going to shield our first Hydro Cannon, go for the Overfarm, throw on the CMP tie, going for the Bleak Wind Storm. This will, of course, not KO the Swampert, but it will double debuff their attack. So now, this Hydro Cannon isn't really going to do that much damage up against me, and I will be able to go for a full Gust farm down. What do they have in the back? They've got a Venusaur, which is why they didn't swap out there, and this Bleak Wind Storm is going to deal big damage to the Venusaur. I didn't want them to fully farm me down because that did look quite possible at that point, so I'm going to come in with my Thunderous. We can now live a Sludge Bomb, and I'm actually going to go for the BM, go for a Focus Blast, fully undercharge it. It's resisted damage, but it takes out the Venusaur from that range, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Internet's going to see Landorus into Gliscor once again. So another awkward matchup where this Stone Edge isn't really going to do that much damage. Of course, they are going to double resist my Mud Shot damage, and I don't really want to bait with a Sandsear Storm because that is very risky. Once again, they do let it go through, but you can see it doesn't even get them into the yellow health range, whereas this Night Sash will get me into that half health range, which is not ideal. We're once again going to swap into my Thunderous. I do at least resist the Wing Attack and the Earthquake damage, but once again, they full send the Earthquake there. That does huge damage, even resisted, but we can go for a Wild Bolt Storm, and this is going to be resisted as well. It doesn't take them out there. And at this point, I'm just going to let the Night Slash take me out. We've still got both our shields remaining, so I think I'm just going to come in with my Tornadus. I will be able to fully Gust farm them down at this point, and we do get that farm down before they make it to a Night Slash. Then I'm going to come in with an Eelektross, which I definitely wasn't expecting to see, and this is really bad. I'm hoping to grab a shield. We do at least grab that shield there. We come in with the Landorus, and I don't really know what's going to be in the bag, but I need to land a Sandsear Storm straight away. But unfortunately, it's Golisopod. I'm going to bait here, go for a Sandsear Storm, hoping to grab a shield. But no, the opponent lets that go through. They call the bait. Now, I really need the shield here. If I get the shield with a Stone Edge, then I could possibly Gust farm them down and come out with a Focus Blast loaded. But unfortunately, the opponent lets the Stone Edge go through. That is the smart play. Save the shield for the Eelektross, and there's nothing I can do. Dragon Claw will be taking out Tornadus. I know shield since they would make it to back-to-back charge moves very easily, so we unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to the opponent there. Very nice Spice Pick with the Eelektross. Into the next battle, we see Shadow Feraligatr in the lead. Now, we do actually outpace, well, not outpace them, but I make it to the Sandsear Storm at the same pacing, and we win CMP with the Landorus. So I'm actually happy to stay in and play out the one shield scenario, because this will hopefully put them into range where we can just Volt Switch farm them down, and we do at least grab that shield back from the opponent. So at this point, gonna let Landorus go down. Hydro Cannon will be taking us out, but 2 Volt Switches will be taken out for Alligator, which is absolutely huge. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent's going to come in with a Registeel, so once again, we are going to full send the Focus Blast here, going for 4 Volt Switches first. Focus Burst coming through, one-shots yet another Registeel, and they come in with Trevenant, and Trevenant actually completely walls the energy here. So the opponent obviously didn't know that. We are obviously part flying typing, so maybe expecting us to have a flying type move. But either way, I stay in. I basically force the opponent to throw a charge move. C-Bomb actually won't KO, but it doesn't matter. We come in with the Tornadus, and the opponent's just going to concede the match there. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Landorus into Guzzlord. So not the most comfortable matchup ever. We are going to stay in, and we're actually not going to throw straight away. The opponent is going to throw straight away, but that gives us a full Mud Shot in for free. We can now go for a Sandsear Storm, debuff their attack. So always, if you're going to use one shield, use it straight away, because you can then debuff the opponent's attack. We're now going to go for a Stone Edge. This is going to do a lot more damage, and Stone Edge barely doesn't KO, but we have debuffed their attack, so I'm hoping I can live this. And Dragon Claw coming through doesn't KO, but well, that was weird. Okay, they come in with the Tapu Fini straight away. Guzzlord did apparently go down there, but we're now going to go for a Wild Bolt Storm into Cresselia, debuff their attack, then we swap into our Tornadus. We catch a charge move here, and the opponent actually goes for a Grass Knot bait, which is so unnecessary. And at this point, I'm not going to shield my Tornadus whatsoever. Going to go straight for a second Bleak Wind Storm. Bleak Wind Storm, going to debuff their attack once again, and I should be able to fully Gust farm them down at this point and come out with another charge move loaded. So that's what I'm going for here. And the opponent does make it to one final charge move, but this should just be another Grass Knot, which doesn't deal much damage. We can go for that Bleak Wind Storm straight away, and if the Switch Lock is up, I will swap out immediately into my Thundurus. The opponent lets that first move go through. Perfect for me. We're now going to shield up the Surf, go for that Wild Bolt Storm straight away, going to debuff their attack once again, and that should allow me to live another Surf coming from the opponent. So the opponent's going to have to go for a Moonblast to KO, but they don't get there in time. I'm able to get the full Volt Switch farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to the opponent there. Into next, we see a Shadow Dragonite in the lead. So this is a bit scary for me, of course. Mod Shot's going to be heavily resisted. The Dragon Breath damage already getting me into the yellow health range. I'm going to have to bait this time around. I feel like this is a little bit safer since Shadow Dragonite probably going to be shielding anything anyways. And Sandsear Storm does grab the shield. We should also be able to go for a Stone Edge and win the CMP tie, but the opponent threw on alignment straight away. So we actually get there one turn before they make it to the next Dragon Claw. So a bit unfortunate there, but I feel like they probably would have just committed to the full Dragon Breath farm down anyways. Here, they're going to throw a charge move. I'm actually just going to let this move go through. And the opponent, for whatever reason, goes for a superpower. I've got literally no clue why they did that, but I'll definitely take it. We're going to go for a Wild Bolt Storm, taking out the Dragonite, and they've got a Toxicroak in the back, so this is looking good for us. It just depends what that third and final Pokemon is, and once again, unfortunately, we are not part normal, so Shadow Ball would hit for huge damage. They come in with Skuntank. I'm just going to full send the Focus Blast here. Hopefully, this will KO. Focus Blast doesn't quite take them out, though, unfortunately. They're able to make it to a charge move. Crunch does take us out there. We do get the Volt Switch farm down. Can't we make it to the Wild Bolt Storm? No, the opponent's able to resist. They'd counter farm me down, and unfortunately we do lose that game, but GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Mandibuzz in the lead. So this is one of the matchups where I'm actually not too fussed about shielding the first charge move. The opponent does full send a Dark Pulse though. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting an Aerial Ace since we are quite classy, but we go for the Stone Edge and we deal about half their health already, which is nice. We're then going to swap, catch the next charge move onto my Tornadus. This will just be an Aerial Ace, so not going to hit too hard there. The opponent is going to throw another Aerial Ace, which is fine with me. You can see Tornadus is definitely the bulkiest of this trio. They're now going to come in with a Cresselia. We're going to go for that Bleak Windstorm straight away. No point over farming here. I mean, these Psychic Cuts, they're really not going to make too much of a difference, whether they are slightly debuffed or not, but we might as well just debuff them as soon as possible. They go for a Moonblast. We're going to come in with the Landorus. We're going to overfarm here, throw just before they make it to the next charge move, and if the opponent hasn't been counting, they might overfarm, allow me to make it to another Sandsear Storm, but no, the opponent is going to throw at the perfect timing there, just before we make it to Sandsear Storm number 2. We're going to go for it here, and this will debuff their attack once again, and at this point, I'm going to swap into my Thunderous. I catch the charge move. Hopefully, this is a Grass Knot. It is the Grass Knot. It's double resisted and double debuffed, but they come in with a Skeledirge. Now, this obviously isn't the alignment we want, but I'm hoping I can grab a shield in this matchup. I'm not able to do so, unfortunately, so I'm actually going to shield this up. My Landorus is already very low in its health, so can't really let that go through. So we're now going to go for a Wild Bolt Storm. This will be grabbing the final shield. I undercharge it anyways, just in case they didn't shield, because hopefully I can then get in one extra Volt Switch without taking the Incinerate damage, but they're able to farm me down there. Honestly, with a double debuff to the Incinerate damage, I was expecting that Incinerate to do less damage than it did, but unfortunately it gets me very low to the point where I can make it to a Stone Edge up against the Mandibuzz. Snarls even hitting for big damage there, and Psycho Cut can fast move farm me down, which is not ideal for me, but a GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we're going to see a Tentacruel in the lead, so pretty good lead matchup for me. I am, of course, resisting the Poison Jab damage. Scald would definitely KO, so I will be shielding that up when they get there, even though I can debuff their attack first. And we are just going to shield the first move straight away. And the opponent is going to go for the Scald, not going to go for an Acid Spray or anything like that. So that's good news for me. We're now going to go for Sandsear Storm number 2. And then I will swap into my Thunderous here to catch the next Scald, as they are double debuffed. The opponent does go for the Scald there. And the opponent's going to swap into an Umbreon. Now, I feel like I should be able to live a Foul Play. If this is a Dark Pulse, it will probably KO. Thunderous is just super glassy, but we do just barely live that. We make it to the Focus Blast. We one-shot a Registeel, but Umbreon actually hangs on there. Insane bulk from the Umbreon. But we put them into range with one Gust. We'll be taking out the Umbreon before they make it to the next Foul Play, and they've got a Skeledirge in the back, so we can make it to the Bleak Windstorm just before they make it to a Shadow Ball or a Dazzling Gleam, or sorry, not Dazzling Gleam, Disarming Voice. The opponent is going to overfarm massively though, so at this point I'm just going to let this move go through. The opponent goes for Disarming Voice. That actually doesn't KO. We then swap at the same time. I'm able to get a full farm down there, and I didn't realize they didn't have any shields remaining, so I actually go for the overfarm here instead of throwing straight away. We're then going to go for the Sandsear Storm, and yeah, obviously this is going to KO. They don't have any shields remaining, so Sandsear Storm takes out the Skeledirge, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Poliwrath in the lead. So of course, I am going to resist the counter damage. Icy Wind definitely going to KO. Even if they're running Ice Punch, that will probably also KO, even with a debuff to their attack from that Sandsear Storm. So I swap into my Thunderous, and the opponent's going to respond with a Swampert. So we should be able to live a Hydro Cannon from pretty much full health here. So I'll let it go through. I don't really want to use my shield here. And then I'm going to go for the Focus Blast on the potential CMP tie with the Swampert, and Focus Blast is once again going to be taking out the Swampert, flipping switch advantage. They come in with Skeledirge, they do get the Incinerate farm down, but now we've got the alignment we want. I'm going to go for the Sandsear Storm on CMP. That was quite risky, but the opponent does throw straight away, so that's good news for me. Actually, no, they didn't, but they didn't get the Incinerate through, which is kind of strange, so that's very fortunate on my end. We're now going to go for the next Sandsear Storm, throwing just before they make it to the next charge move, grab both shields from the opponent, so at this point, I can just let this move go through, save my shield for the Tornadus. They go for Disarming Voice. They are double debuffed in their attack, so I'm definitely not going to be shielding up against the Skeledirge here. They can go for a Shadow Ball. Of course, it isn't double resisted because we're not normal, but it doesn't matter. We're going to throw here. I wasn't quite sure if they'd make it to another charge move, so I play it safe. We go for the Bleak Windstorm, taking them out there. The opponent does have a charge move loaded, but I should be able to outpace them to the next charge move or even get the Gust farm down. I'm actually just going to go for that Bleak Windstorm here. I feel like they were at the next charge move, but we're able to take them out with the Bleak Windstorm, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game we see Landorus into Greninja, so this is not very good for me whatsoever. Gonna say swap into my Tornadus. Typically Thundurus was the say swap, but of course that is my hard answer to Greninja, so instead we come in with the Tornadus and the opponent responds with a Skeledirge. So we're gonna go for the Bleak Wind Storm, grab a shield with the first charge move, debuff their attack, and the opponent has to go for a 1 Incinerate and then throw a charge move there, which allows me to outpace them to the next Bleak Wind Storm here. And Bleak Wind Storm, I'm hoping grabs the second shield, but no, they actually let it go through and they live that as well, which is really unfortunate. But they go for Disarming Voice, which is even worse for me, because now we do have switch advantage, but Greninja has such a huge energy advantage. My only play here is if they bait with a Night Slash, but they full send the Hydro Cannon. They make it to a second charge move already. I can't afford to shield this, so unfortunately, they will be able to very easily outpace my Landorus to the next charge move, as they still had residual energy. And at this point, I'm just going to let it go through. Hydro Cannon takes me out, and we get absolutely destroyed by Greninja. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we're going to see a Venusaur in the lead. So I'm going to stay in this lead matchup initially. Of course, Thundurus, whilst it does resist the grass typing, also can only hit for resisted damage. So this is actually a fairly neutral matchup that I don't really need to swap out of. We're going to go for that Sandsear Storm, debuff their attack. And now we're going to go for a second Sandsear Storm thrown just before they make it to the next charge move. At this point, we grab the shield. Now I'm going to swap into my Thundurus, as I will resist a Frenzy Plant. The opponent is actually going to go for that Frenzy Plant there. They didn't react in time, and they come in with a Skeledirge. So once again, going to go for that Wild Bolt Storm. Wild Bolt Storm is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and the opponent will have to throw here. Otherwise, I would make it to a second Wild Bolt Storm. So Disarming Voice will be taking me out. We're going to wait out the switch clock here, come in with the Landorus, and then I will go for the Sandsear Storm on the CMP type. I'm hoping this will KO from this range. It will be close, but it does take them out there. Now I swap into my Tornadus. I'm going to go for the Gust Farm Down. I think this might be a Sludge Bomb here, but I'm still going to no shield anyways. I don't know what's in the back, and it's a Poliwrath, so things are looking great for us. I think that was also a Mudshot Poliwrath as well, which is very interesting, but we can just safely shield whatever they throw. They actually choose not to throw there, knowing they're not going to be able to get it through the shield there, so I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see another Gliscor in the lead. So once again, not ideal for us. We're going to stay in, just go for that Stone Edge, and then I probably will try and swap into Thundurus at some point in this battle. They go for Night Slash. Luckily for me, no Gliscor have been boosting so far, but let's see if that's going to change in this battle. We go for the Stone Edge, we swap, we catch the next move onto our Thundurus. And the reason I am swapping into my Thundurus is because we do at least resist the damage from these wing attacks, so it feels like we've got a little bit of extra bulk, even though we actually don't. We're actually the glassiest Pokemon on this team. The opponent's going to swap here into their Poliwrath. We're able to make it to one Wild Bolt Storm, but unfortunately they will be able to get the counter farm down just before we make it to the second one, which is not ideal, but we're going to come in with the Tornadus here. I'm going to shield this up as the opponent's going to go for an Icy Wind, and then I will over farm in this matchup. I thought about trying to make a catch and then going for a full Gust farm down, but instead I'm just going to throw my Charge Move here, save my Landorus in case I need it in the end game, and they've got a Lantern in the back, so I'm definitely happy that I saved it, but unfortunately this is still going to be very tricky. We go for the Sandsear Storm. They actually let that go through, which is good news for me. I'm going to probably have to shield this up here. I'm going to shield it up. It is the Surf, and I'm expecting a catch, but the opponent doesn't make it. We can go for another Sandsear Storm. Sandsear Storm grabs the final shield from the opponent, and the opponent will now try and make the catch. We make it to a Stone Edge. Honestly, I should have undercharged this. This is a mistake because we take out the Gliscor. They get the Spark Farm down. I thought I had a Bleak Wind Storm loaded, but no, I didn't. So Thunderbolt takes out Tornadus, and we do unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Landorus into a Alolan Sandslash. So if they're running Powder Snow, this is probably just going to be game over straight away. But they're not. They're running the Shadow Claw instead. So we actually do take, well, minimal damage from the fast move. The opponent's going to swap there into Golisopod. I didn't throw straight away because typically they will recognize that if they lose CMP on the first one, they're then going to try and swap and catch the next move. But I have to throw straight away. Otherwise, they would just go for those Ice Punches. But here we grab a shield. We just barely live a Liquidation there. And now I can go for a Wild Bolt Storm. And Wild Bolt Storm is going to KO the Golisopod from this range. And the opponent is going to wait out the switch lock, come in with a Venusaur, so things are now looking good for us. I'm going to wait out my switch lock here as we did swap out a little bit after them. We're going to come in with the Tornadus. I'm not able to swap straight away, but this is actually fine. I'm going to force the opponent to throw some of their energy. Tornadus can actually live an Ice Punch there. Now we come in with the Landorus. We overfarm, we throw on the CMP tie. Sandsear Storm would be carrying, so we grab the final shield from the opponent. We did also bank a Bleak Windstorm on my Tornadus, so things are looking great. We're going to overfarm. This time I throw just slightly early here, just to make sure that we do take them out there. And now the opponent's going to come in with the Venusaur. They overfarm, which is a huge mistake. Of course, the opponent is going to try and farm 2 back-to-back charge moves, but it's not going to help them here, as they can throw the Venusaur, they're going to throw the Frenzy Plant here. It will KO, but we're going to win CMP with our Tornadus. And the opponent actually doesn't throw straight away anyways, but Bleak Windstorm takes out the Venusaur, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.